I never made it, but I know what it takes. I'm motivated by a mix of emotion.
My server is running at 7088 port number. Let me go and here see how you have to write this. The cloud server is running at port 7088. Thereafter, what you have to write? I have written config-client1/default. Why? Just wait for that. Unless you know the repository file name, you just cannot understand, guys. Wait a moment. I'll show you. This is what. Look. What is the name of this file? Config client1 config -client1 -prod prod. This name is very important. Everyone should watch this. That is why I am giving you so much stress. See here, the name of the file is config-client1-pro.properties. Now, before the word of last hyphen is this dash product, dash prod. So prod means product. It can be anything, any name you can specify. So before hyphen, what is the name? Config client, and that becomes this name. And remember, the name config client and then the application's name, they has to be the same. This is the limitations. I had already shown you in the properties file of, look here, bootstrap. What is the name? Config client 1. So all the names, property, there can be any number of property file name, but they must start the name of properties file for this particular client must starts from config-client1. Dash, after that there may be dash prod, or there may be anything, or there may not be anything. If after config-client1 I am not having this prod, then in that situations it will be the default. If I say default, if I specify profile, let's say if I specify profile, the profile name is last hyphen, that is prod. See here what it is running. The profile name is what? Prod. See here. So what it is doing, that this is the configurations file. This is the configurations file, and these are the two configurations parameters. And this configurations parameter always we have to write using key value pairs kind of formats. See here, you can see the values. So using JSON format, all the properties values are fetched and given. So now who is fetching this? From Git repository. Already we had seen into the previous sessions how to configure, how to install that Git repository. All the steps, all those steps I have already mentioned into the previous sessions. Okay. Now the question is, the parameters what this cloud server is fetching, will they be available to client? This is what we are supposed to check right now. Now let me see the client applications. Let's say run. Now I have created two instances of clients. The first client is running on port. Let's execute first. 7080. Okay. Now let's see, guys. I don't require all this, so let me close it. Okay, 70. So localhost colon 7080. See here, it is giving you 200 and 500. From where there that value comes, 200 and 500. Just wait first. See here, 200 and 500. Now I will show you what is this. Two values we are getting, 20 and 100, 200 and 500. How? Let me reduce this screen and take you to this editor. There we are opening these files. There is also a file called okay. Let's open. See here. Look this. There is a property file whose name is config-client1. There is another file whose name is config-client1-prods. So the client, a Spring client application's name was config-client1. So that is the first file, first property file, and that is called default property file. In order to categorize all the parameters which may be needed by the different cloud clients are placed on cloud, and that is fetched by cloud server. So when you run the profile prod1, it will fetch data not only from the prod1 but from the default also. So this one is the default. So if I say write instead of prod, if you write default, it will fetch only from the default. But when you are specifying the profile rather than default, the profile is default means this is the first one which doesn't have any extensions after the application's name. So that is prod. So now let's remove the default. Prod. You can see it is getting the not product. See, it is only prod. So it is getting the default values as well as the value of the profile property which has been mentioned, that is 200 and 500. See here, this is 200 and 500. And from client what was requested? Get values. So it will get values of which profile which would have been mentioned. So why it is giving only 200 and 500? Because in property file we would have mentioned, look at this profile name. If you don't mention it, then it will become default. And if you remove this line, then this client will fetch this value from the which property file, which Git repository? That is the default repository, 20 and 100. So it depends which one you have mentioned. You have to mention the active profile by using that configurations parameter of bootstrap property file. Now the question is, if there is any change into this, let me do the change in this. Let me say 100 and 300. Save it. I saved. No need of restarting anything. Just see. Does it affect? Look, we got the answer changed. Look, the answer is 100 and 300. Does it affect here? No. Okay, first wait. Let me run one more instance of this client. The same for the same applications, one more instance was created. This is in long back while demonstrating you the load balancing, we had created duplicate instances. If you don't remember, I can show you the step now also. Let me run this first. Already two clients are there, two instances will become. I'll create one more. Let's see, for the same applications, the second instance is running at port 7081. लगातार नाम मैंने दिया है नंबर. So 7081, let me open in a browser 7081. Now see here, what is the value in 7081? It is the instance of same. But what is the values of this? This is the value which was earlier when it after executions of this client instance, we made change into the property file, Git repository file. This is called Git repository. That is a cloud. That information is put onto the cloud. Now, this another instance of the same applications client, that is cloud applications, is running, and when it is running, its value is 100 and 300. Now let me make one more changes. Let's make 500 and 800. Server will reflect the change. Look here. Server will reflect the change. Why server is reflecting? Because the cloud server does not read these configurations property file of Git repository while loading, while starting, but this cloud client, config client, fetches those values only at the time of start. So they need to be refreshed, and they need to be refreshed, and for refreshing I have already given you the way. Through actuators we have to do the refresh. Let me try to run this refresh from here. This refresh has got executed, but It has to just give the call. That's all. Now refresh it. Does it change? No. Refresh it. Look, is it changing? No. Why? Because we have given this refreshing this port 7080. No, not 7080. So 1 second. एक second. Yes, right, it is. This port is running at 7080. This client is running at 7081. I am refreshing 7080. So at least 7080 should have got changed. Of course, by refreshing 7080, there will be no change into this client running on this port 7081. Why? Still in 7080 there is no change? Because we are giving this actuator's call through get. And already I told you that it has to be made through post. How shall we do it? As already I said, it has to do through ERiCK. ERiCK app. Now I'm running ERiCK app. This is ERiCK app. And in this already it is mentioned. कौन सा है? 7081. 7081. So same call I am doing 7081. Here you can select these methods. We have to do the post method. Post and just give a call. Which port I am doing? 7081. The call is done. Let's see. When 7081 is now refreshed, you will get the changed value. Look at this. We got it, isn't it? But again, let's try, because both are of client offs. Both are two instances of same config client. One instance is running at 7080, another one is running at 7081. But this get method actuators will not work. Actuators call always has to be given through post. And for post we have to store. There are many applications. One of that is ERiCK client. Just download it and install. This kind of applications we get. Refresh. So I am refreshing. I am giving call to 7081 through end refresh endpoint service of actuator. So it is refreshing the instance running at this port only. So 70 this got changed. Let me do changes to this file once again, guys. Let me make 600 and 800. Let it be the same. Second is same. If the port is the 7081, refresh, nothing. Before that we have to refresh it, send actuator call, refresh, you got the change. Now in order to refresh this also, we also have to run actuator at 7080. So let's change 7080 and refresh. Now 7080 refresh, you got the change. So what is the limitation of actuator? Through actuator, any one instances which is refreshed will receive the changed parameters of the from the Git repository, that is cloud. This is the limitations with which we could see, and post request get request will not work. So let me close this tab. That was only for experimental purpose. So always we have to give call to through ERiCK, that is advanced REST client, and because it has to be called through post method. From browsers, whatever call we are giving to any what's that called, to any client, any URL what we are writing, it is always get, not post method. Now this drawback we have seen. In order to eliminate this drawback, we are using a Spring Cloud bus. Now what we have to do for a Spring Cloud bus? We have to add one more dependency. We have to add one more dependency. And this dependency is a Spring Cloud starter bus AMQP. You must be remembering what is AMQP. Internally, to run this, it needs RabbitMQ. And already we had installed RabbitMQ while doing the traceability, tracing of all the Spring services. So RabbitMQ is already installed. If at all, if that is not installed, then before running this, we should have RabbitMQ, and because RabbitMQ requires OTP services of Erlang, so that also should be installed. And fortunately, we already have those. We have done into the previous sessions. That is why I had planned these all sessions systematically, one by one, looking all the different tools. Weakness of one tools is overcome by another tools. Okay, so now very simple. Till previous say this thing code what we have, into that we have to just add these dependencies, and you have to add this line. That's all. Only these two changes we have to make. But still then, even though only two changes are there, you guys shouldn't have any confusions. Let me close all the clients, all the things running, terminate all the thing, and close these applications. Though it is same, only the two things needs to be added. I haven't done it. For that, again we shall start one more. What is that? Okay, so let me open this file once again. Now actuator we have already seen. Now we are just seeing cloud bus, that is next of actuator. Okay, let's see this applications. So though only two changes are there, I have made a separate project and named So just by looking the name, you can open it. There is no difference in server. The only difference is what we have added POM file of client. Look, the dependencies which I had told you that have been added, one change, and the second change is what? In the property file. Already we are having till here. Just one new line is being added to manage the endpoints of the bus refresh endpoint of okay. Now these two changes are there, then we don't have to worry. Let me close all the windows and open only client, and then guys, after client you have the main applications of server. First of all, we'll run server. We will run server. Server is the same. Why doesn't execute? Okay. So again, the same server, the same code is there. So there is no change. Code has got no change at all. Now only the thing we have to see when we run the client. When we run the client, and there are two instances of client running. So let me run both. It got executed at 7080 and same instances. Nobody asked how to add instances of same applications one more. There are only two situations. Either you understand everything or you do not understand. See, it is using rabbit and all. So it's running. Let's see first. Let's go there and run this. Refresh. Both instances are running. Do a change. Do a change in Git repository file. Minimize it. दोनों को minimize कर देते हैं. Okay. Here let's make it both same 800. Save it. Server तो always होगी. There is no issue at server 800. What about client? Does it change? No. What about another client? Does it change? No. दोनों में दोनों कोई भी client change नहीं हुआ. What we have to do is that first of all through ERiCK we have to refresh the page. I am refreshing client 7080 only. I am refreshing the instance of the client which is running at port 7080. Let's send. Now don't have to request this refresh, but you have to refresh through bus refresh. This is what endpoint you have to run, bus refresh. Okay, don't worry what the message here we have refreshed. Let's see, does it have affected? Anyone not affected? 7080. Let's just a minute. Actuator path, bus refresh. Just wait for a moment. Something. Bus refresh actuator. Bus refresh actuator. Okay. Let's see the parameters. Oh, no content. What is this? Mass is 500. Actuator, localhost. Let's see the port. There should be content. Let me do one thing. Let me close the all instances are running. Run, close. Again, another client. Let me close the server too. Okay. Let's see all this. Let me close everything and do. Okay. First of all, let's open applications. Then here we have and let's close ERiCK also. Run server first, client server. Java applications and run the client also. Let's see, let me enlarge the console. Attempting to connect localhost. Let's see, go to the browser. Okay. 800, it is okay. Now let me have this 800, 900, 900. Let's see. It is showing the only previous instance. I think second instance have not executed. Yeah, second instance of this client is not running. Now I got started the second instance also. I started that. So because second instance is running after the changes has been made, What is the error it is giving? Okay, it was not fully started. It takes some time. Let's see through that ERC. Actuator bus refresh 7080 sent. Again some internal error. We'll have to see, is there any configuration issues? Anyway, just we will see. Let's wait. What is that issue it is giving? But if this issue is resolved, if you do one refresh to this ARC service, and let me do only refresh. Is this refresh works? Refresh is not working. Let me go to the properties file and do one just client property file bootstrap. Let me remove this. Just a test I'm doing. Let me terminate both the client and restart the client app. Restart both the client. Today, day after, we have to complete HISTRIX also. That's very small, not lengthy topic. So let's go to browser. Here we have 900. Already there is 900. And let's see to make change into this 900 to again let's say 100 and 900. 100 and 900. Give a call to ARC. The problem with this ARC. ARC of course I have removed bus still internal error. I'll have to now close the thing and try it again. What was the change? 100 and 900. Okay, after shutting down once again I shall try, but just wait. I shall show you once again, but let me take up that HISTRIX. If it is giving some problem, I will just close down the Eclipse and restart and do the change. Let's see what is happening here. But before closing, let me conclude with this topic, HISTRIX. As I said, when your microservice is running, there is a fallout situations that if your service is creating any problem, then rather than putting down the microservice, it's better that you should have a such situations. There should be a API, there should be a call which automatically handles that crisis, and that is the role of HISTRIX. To check HISTRIX, the previous applications whichever is running, because only fallout situations, any applications which is running, in that you have to add this dependency, you have to add this dependency. One changes, then you will have to enable the HISTRIX in applications class, and then the kind of exceptions handling management you will have to do. Here what happens, let's see, there is a API which is called on the URL test. So for URL test, this test method will be called, and there will be certain business logic. Now, if that business logic is okay, then that answers will be reflected back, that string whatever we are returning. So in that business logic checks, if there is any error we are detecting, that kind of logic. Just for example, I am writing down something. If there is a situation, certain condition, if this condition is satisfied, if this condition is satisfied, then you are returning this, that is return the logic as a string. Okay. Otherwise, this kind of situations we shall have. Otherwise, raising and runtime exception. So my logic is what I'm telling you, try to understand. If you are running a API at test URL, this test functions will be called, and whatever the business logic is according to this will be the answers which gets reflected. But if it fails, then it will raise the exceptions, runtime exceptions. Because the runtime exception is not handled, your system will crash, your microservice will down. So in that fallout situations, that is called fallout situations, when your exceptions raised is not handled, then in the case of falling down your microservice, there will be a fallback method which will be called. So whatever the method name is, this I have supplied. of that name we have to create a functions. So in fallback situations, in fallback situations, this method is called, याद करो, in fallback situations this method will be called. Now here simply I am passing some message, maybe done or something like that. So just put this functions into your controller and give a call to this. Give a call to this. I'm just having something, some logic. That logic you have to create, and we can see when this logic is okay, we get the answer, that is the actual answers, actual response, which is desirable from the microservice. Are you getting the guys? Are you getting? That is the desirable answer. If it is not, then exception is raised. And of course, the user will not get this message. This message will be recorded into the log file. Only when the log file is opened, this message will be visible. Okay. Now, when the exceptions is raised, this method will be automatically called, and whatever this logic which we are handling, the control will be to that. So for implementation of hystrix, you have to add this, and this is the logic which has to be handled in every situations. Especially we have to think that in all the situations when because of our business logical problem there might be exceptional situations should be handled this, and that is what is hystrix. We will try to implement in a applications whichever is working this. We will see. Just wait for a moment. Okay. As I said, let me close down this and retry. There might be certain configurations problem. Okay, close down. Okay, now I am opening it. I am having the same instance, the same code, and one more folder. I am loading from that. Okay, don't worry, just give a moment. Okay, I have Spring Boot app, you have microservices, and cloud bus we were checking. We were checking cloud bus. One second. Cloud. Okay. So cloud bus select. Have you understood the concept why cloud bus is a Spring bus is needed? The main thing is understanding the concepts. Let me run the server first. Same thing is there. I will show you the what is that called form file entries. Look here, you have this dependencies needed to implement the bus. Close it. Then go for property file, bootstrap property. We have bus refresh. Everything is there. Let me run server first. Server applications at port run. Sometimes it fails to run. Guys, server is running at port 7088. We will go and refresh 70 port 88. Same thing is there. We will refresh this. We will get error. We will refresh this also. Both application is not at all running at this port, so we have error. Go here and restart that client. Let me start both the client. I had tested both the thing before I took up the class. Without testing, I never do, because there are many technicalities on which we have to focus. Okay, now both the apps are running, both the instances of the same client. Let me go to the browser. We have 100 and 900, 100 and 900. So at both we have. Let's see through actuator. Let me go and do the change. Problem तो उसी का था ना. Let's make it to 500 and 400. Save it. अभी right now no changes will be effective. यहाँ तो हो ही जाएगा. Look, 400 and 500. So server there is no issues. So server is responding, and this server's masses will be supplied to this. For that we have to run this actuator. Again, this also started giving error. Why that ERC is giving problem? Let's get 405 method not allowed. That is different thing. Send internal server error. Okay, let me check it, and tomorrow again I will demonstrate you. Everything has been explained, only the thing it has to be given. Now let's see, we will check the concept of hysteresis. I'll add the dependency into the same file. If you could understand, let me get this and come here. uh, Stop the thing, because here only we should have controller. So in that SRC, We have test controller, get values. Of course, this controller is running. Let me have, first of all, let's close down. Only applications I am closing. Server is running. Okay. Now, as already I told you that in POM file of that, because only we have to implement HIStrix, the place where we are going to have some business logic into the API of controller. So it is there. Let's HIStrix is building. Okay. Then what I have to do after this? I have to go to applications and provide at the rate enable HIStrix. Enable let me just copy down, enable HIStrix. Okay, so it got imported. Enable HIStrix. This is the two changes. Then we have to go to controller method and we have to mention a APIs along with the fallout methods. So let's do copy and paste it. See here. Let's there was a spelling mistake. This I have only written. I am not implementing right now any business logic. So let's comment all that. I'm just assuming that it simply raises exceptions. So when there will be a call to this test API, because this test is raising exception, this method will be called handled. Let me write some masses. Let me run this client app to check this client app. Client, only one client I have executed at 7080. It is still running, that is why It's giving error. Let's see the console. Client 1 is running. Add port. Okay. Okay, we got the masses. Now here let me call the API call test. See here. We got this exceptions. So that is how we can see our history is running. So what we saw, let's come back to our logic. If there is a call to this API test, which is calling test method, and some business situation is running, and because of failure it couldn't complete, so it threw runtime exceptions, and because this runtime exceptions raised by this test method is unhandled, so naturally in that case your Spring will indicate that this service is down. Now because of this history command, in a fallback situations there is a fallback method that will be evoked. This will be just made into log file, but end user will get this alternative answers. Maybe one service is down, it is fetching from another service. That kind of situations. Client is requesting to service to add one port. Maybe because of some issues at that locations, it is going to some other locations and fetching from that. That kind of situations maybe. Okay, so that is the end of microservices. So we could conclude, we could see all the microservices. Histric was the last, and use of Histric to handle fallback situations. So in this manner, we have completed 22 sessions continuously, starting from the basics of core Java. I could try to uh, take you to the giving little concept of JSP servlets, springs, Spring microservices, injections, IOCs. That is the heart of the Spring injections. And then we could see the Spring Boot, and in a Spring Boot the main thing is creation of microservices. Tomorrow, by creating a very small example, already I shall create in advance. It will take few hours, and then I shall demonstrate you using these microservices. Not all in one simple applications only, we cannot use everything. We have learned to create, and tomorrow we shall try to use them. Remember, professionally, my creation of microservices basically back end task. Mind it. Creation of microservices back end task, not front end task. Front end task is that all kind of results in the form of website, what we can see, that is not the aim of microservice. It is just service provider. जैसे हम होटल में खाना खाने जाते हैं, जो बैरा होता है उसका काम क्या है? वो तो खाना नहीं बनाता है ना. On the back end, behind the hotel, inside that mess, the kitchen, where the things are prepared, actually they are the service maker and provider. वेटर जो बैरा जिसको हम बोलते हैं, वो तो सिंपली वो कैरियर है. They just get it and in a good place, hall where we are sitting and enjoying all the situations. So that kind of thing is microservices back end tool. Front end tool, you will have to take something, and that is not the goal of our subject. But still tomorrow, being into the Java technology itself, I shall try to create a very small applications, very simple. In that we can see only by using Java lang technology itself, we will be able to create some front ends, some HTML, CSS and all kind of thing we shall use. There will be a front end and communicating to the backend tools of using all this Spring Boot applications. So that will be our concluding sessions. That is tomorrow we will have. So guys, it's my request, it's my advice to you all. Have thorough study of all this microservices tools, sit, implement them. They are easy, they have to be followed step by step. Then only we can create. Okay. So it's my advice, sit and implement. Unless we have patience, we cannot just learn. Okay, so we will end today's sessions and tomorrow. हाँ बताओ
सर
अक्षिता, do you want to tell me something?
सर लास्ट क्लास है ये, माइक्रो सर्विसेज के बाद कुछ और भी होगा?
नहीं, माइक्रो सर्विसेज कंप्लीट हो गया. आप माइक्रो सर्विसेज का पीपीटी नंबर 1 या 2 जो भी होगा उसमें लगभग 12 टूल्स थे ना.
यस सर.
आप उसको देखेंगे सारे टूल्स, सबसे लास्ट हिस्ट्रिक्स था. तो माइक्रो सर्विसेज के सारे एस्पेक्ट्स हो चुके हैं. And that is the main aim of is Spring Boot is to create microservice. Tomorrow हम लोग छोटा सा एक एप्लीकेशंस को हम डिमॉन्स्ट्रेट करेंगे और जितने भी कोड मैंने अपलोड किया है डायरेक्टली यू कैन इंपोर्ट देम इनटू जावा एंड यू कैन रन. That is into your Eclipse and you can run and get the answer. Okay. तो कल हम लोग एक थोड़ा सा इंटरेक्टिव एप्लीकेशंस बनाएंगे because for beginners you are just learning. So you are not expert, you are learning, you are a student. So you are not working into your organizations where your goal is only to create service and all, and the front end will be created by some other developers, maybe some other clients and so on. So that is why we want the whole picture. So कल का जो सत्र होगा, सेशन होगा, by creating front end and trying to integrate both. Okay, so till then, good night.